Good afternoon, everyone. It's 7 minutes past 3 on Friday, the 7th of August. Just a short video to have a look at both the UK and the US markets. We'll start with the US markets because that's where the news came from. And in the jobs report, the US created 1.76 million new jobs, which was better than expected. But the jobless rate across there is still over 10%. So the S&P 30 minutes into the session is still down six ticks. The Dow down 114 ticks. Nevertheless, the trends in VectorVest are all good. Primary wave is up. The underlying trend is up. We've got a confirmed up. But the color guard, which reflects the momentum and the strength of the primary wave, in fact in the amber, so VectorVest advocates caution when buying stocks at this time. Let's look at the charts. So if we look at the VectorVest composite, which I think you know is the all of the shares that we follow in the American market, and I'm just going to go to the MTI layout, and that's the situation. Hasn't changed much since last week. I can put on the longest term measure of the trend onto the chart, and that's the confirmed down before the sell-off, and there's the confirmed up, which occurred on the 18th of May, and that's still going strong. As I've said about 1,000 times here, the price is rising but the breadth of the market is falling. That's never good, but as you all know now, this divergence can last much longer than anybody anticipates. So nevertheless, caution is still the byword. If I now go to the DEW template that I've been following in this campaign, and make that red so we can see it. Okay. That's the DEW signals, and the DEW signals are still positive, and the market well above the moving average, and the DPO, the momentum indicator used, still well above its center line. There is a divergence here, and a very strong divergence as well, in that this is rising to here, but this fellow made a double top and a falling top, and that is quite a bearish compound normal divergence. So we have to be careful here. Nevertheless, the trends are still strong indeed. So all has been good in the American market. That's what's happened today. That was that run up last night, and the market gapped down a little bit. So not much has happened today as yet. So let's have a look at some of the shares that I'm holding. I haven't done a great deal since the last time we spoke. AMD, although it's still in this list, it shouldn't be because I sold it yesterday, so that needs to go. So I'm still holding Hortons. Let's chart these quickly. That was a very nice profit on AMD, and I just couldn't resist taking it yesterday. If you have a look at the chart, you'll see that the price over the last couple of days was rising, but the volume falling, and that was enough to give me the excuse to bank the cash. So to be perfectly honest, so let me just chart these. That's Hortons. The UK people always say that you know what I'm trading myself, because it's always got bars rather than candles. Shows my age, I suppose. That's Hortons, and that, folks, was, I suppose, cup and handle patterns seem to have got more agricultural over the years, but nevertheless I felt that that was a cup and handle pattern, and I bought into it there at 60, and it's now at 67. It went as high as 70. My stop loss is at entry. Lulu seems to have broken again, although I'm into the share right across here from the DEW. And again, we got a cup and handle pattern there, and that seems to be moving, and if the general market can break up and convincingly take the S&P, take out that 3,300 level, then this is on its way. So I just thought that Lulu was yoga pants, but I did a webcast with Steve Chappell the other evening, and he tells me that they make a range of business casual clothes as well, which I didn't know anything about. They don't seem to have them in the branches across here. So Lulu's still going, and that's been just great. Square, you little beauty, the results came out overnight. The results I didn't think were as good as people expected. Nevertheless, the gap is still there and I'm still holding. You see this beautiful little triangle? That's what I call in my courses a sweet spot. There's lots of sweet spots up here, and there is the DEW signal. Can you see how important the overall market is, folks? There's the DEW down, it fell out of bed. There's the DEW up, and away she goes. So as Dr. Toledo says, the most important thing to know is whether the market is rising or falling. Everything follows from that. So let me go on Microsoft. Moving strongly, and that's one of my spring setups, folks, for those of you that have been on the courses, and that just needs to get through the old high. It's going to take a bit of energy to do that. We shall see. TTD is going, and TTD, in fact, results came out overnight, and that pushing up strongly indeed. That's the initial spring where I got in, and that's another spring just here. These springs come like London taxis, folks. You get lots and lots of them, and then you stand in the rain waiting for a taxi for hours and end. That is Ollie's. Ollie's needs to in fact make its mind up for me. It's still hanging in around that level, and I had another position on Sprouts that I took the same day as Ollie's, which I got stopped out on at entry. Coupa is still going, and it's pulled back a little bit today. It needs to be managed carefully. And the GDX off a little bit today. I have a stop loss in the system underneath this low, and I might get out before that. I think the gold market looks very, very overbought indeed, and the last two times the gold market was as overbought as this, it came back 24% and 34% respectively, although it could be the other way around. So that's what I'm holding in the US. I haven't done a great deal of work apart from one, which is Roku. If I go back to Steve Chappell and I discussed this on Tuesday night, I think it was, and Roku I bought into and I got stopped out. I took half off when I'd made as much as I'd risked, and it's up nicely today. We shall see. Maybe it came back and kissed. I maybe have to get back in again. That was the little triangle, and I hope you can see the little brown line. I got in. Let's blow this up a bit. I got in just at that brown line. If I can make it maybe red, you'll be able to see it. And stop loss was down around those lows, and it went up. It flew out, and I thought the money was already in the bank. I took off a little bit half, got my stop to entry, and I got stopped out of the second half. I may have to re-enter this. I haven't done anything as yet. It really looks very strong to me. We spoke about it at the Precision Swing Trading course on Tuesday night. So that's the US, and just remember, folks, this business is all about managing risk. And I've been at it long enough that I've been doing that for a long time. So let's get rid of these charts and go to the UK, because the UK is given a little bit more trouble. As we can see, this is Thursday night's close. We've got an up situation. The short-term trend is up. The underlying trend is up. There's a confirmed up. We had 3 green lights on after Wednesday's close, but the strength of the primary wave, in fact, has waned a little bit, and VectorVest advocates caution when buying stocks at this time. So if we go to the timing chart, we can see that there's the MTI, and if I put on the confirmed calls, there's the confirmed calls over the last year, and that confirmed call came on the 27th of April, and that one is still in place. Again, as we can see, the buy-sell ratio showing marked divergence here, but the problem came in the medium-term market timing system called the DEW. And if I put on the DEW signals, and these are the signals that I've been following in this campaign, that was just a magnificent signal that happened on the 6th of April. And as you can see, we got a bit of whip here the other day where we were out and back in again. During that period, I got rid of several stocks that were not performing. and that left me a little bit of cash to buy into some others. I haven't done that much yet, but nevertheless, the DEW turned up. Unfortunately, anything with moving averages in it, folks, when it's trending, it's great. When it's not trending, then they get very noisy indeed as the market beats a path sideways. So the confirm call, which in fact handles that noise much better, has not even seen this little bit of a pullback. However, the confirm call got in. There's the DEW up on the 7th of April, and the confirm call didn't get in for about 2 weeks after that, onto the 27th of April. Hardly the end of the world. Again, we can see this divergence pattern on the DPO. So let's just have a look at the UK portfolio, and if I go to viewers and go to watchlist viewer, and there we go, and always resort those by RT, and that brings the best performers to the top and the worst performers to the bottom. GAW is going strong, and somebody emailed me earlier to tell me that it was back up again today. AAZ has had a good run, folks, but gold, if gold comes back, it'll come back with it. I bought into Sylvania Platinum during the course of the week, and it's come back a little bit today, the same person told me. So this SLP, I'll get rid of all my lines. There's the stock. We look at it over 5 years. That's the sell-off, and very strong trend in place. We put on earnings per share, very strong earnings per share in place over the last 3 years. Earnings per share has moved up strongly, and VectorVest believes it's going to grow earnings at quite a pace. Let's have a look at 37%. That's quite a clip. Okay, markedly undervalued. A very strong RV, so I'm quite happy with SLP. Pays a bit of a dividend as well. JD Sports, well, JD Sports is moving up, and again, the same person who sent me the email told me that JD Sports is up as well. I've asked, I'm a bit worried about Liontrust, folks, is charting one of my famous springs, and it's moving up from that spring. Let's have a look. You can see how the market came back to this level, couldn't get up, came down, and then all of a sudden we got a big outside day or a hammer candle pattern. Now, if the UK market keeps going, folks, that's something that you could consider buying into if you're not into it already. Just remember that this cycle in the market is quite mature, but nevertheless this would seem to be an exceptionally good level to get in to Liontrust. Remember, if you want to be a short-term swing trader, you've got to be brave. You've got to be able to buy it down around these levels. JD Sports has done exactly the same pattern. So there's your shoulder, there's support again, and then went down, took it out, and it's now reversing. One has to be brave at this game. Avon Rubber, now Avon Rubber, Chris emailed me this morning about Avon Rubber, and he's seen something really interesting. As you can see, there is earnings per share rising, and if I may make a little bit this, we've got this resistance level across here. Always hard to tell where remember, resistance and support are zones rather than levels, and the market came back to here, and we had a good day up, and then it come back, ran all these lows, even this little fella across here. That's where all the liquidity was, and it's now moving up again, folks. As you can see, there's a trend line. So that's the second one I think that you could consider. Just remember, this trend is mature, but nevertheless that you could consider adding to Avon at these particular levels. So Avon, I think, and Liontrust Asset Management and JD, all at quite good levels, folks. Now, one share that was sent to me this week by Steve. Now, Steve is the same guy who gave me heads up on HOC, which was a darn good trade, Steve. I owe you a beer for that, sir, and maybe a crate of beers for that. But this Tristel, and Tristel, as you know, sells cleaning material. And if the pure gym in Notting Hill is anything to go by, there's going to be an awful lot of this stuff sold, because there's one fellow at the pure gym in Notting Hill who does nothing else but wander around, in fact filling up the cleaning stations, because we have to clean the kit before we use it, and then clean it obviously after we use it. Steve, if you remember, did a presentation some Mondays ago on the benefits of the Midas Touch, and in particular the VectorVest proprietary RT40 indicator. Now, I was so impressed with this that I actually made my own little layout, which is in fact just the RT40 itself. I'm going to take a fib off for a moment, and if we go to maybe a longer chart, we can see, at least I hope you can see, that this market from here to here and from there to there is making a new high, but the indicator is making a falling high. Now that's what's called reverse divergence, or it's called hidden divergence by some people, and it's a very important warning signal of a strong move. Now we're still in a hold on Tristel. The fundamentals are reasonably good, and clearly the theme is good in that I think that there's going to be quite a few very lucrative big government tenders to keep us all clean and keep this damnable virus at bay. So I think that if you see this moving on to a buy recommendation, ladies and gentlemen, when it's preceded by this huge reverse divergence, then that merits your attention. So I think that one last share that you could have a look at, I haven't done anything yet, but I bought a few Tristels. Rather impetuous, I know, but I bought a few Tristels, and I'll add to it when I get a buy recommendation. So StockViewer, and I want to look at AUG. Now I know people are going to be saying the spread's wide, and I know the spread is wide, but let's look at the numbers. 197, 320, so it's undervalued by a mile. RV is huge. RS is fair to good. It's on a buy recommendation. Long-term trend is excellent. It should grow earnings at 25%. Again, the theme in water is really good, and if I bring up the chart here, you can see that this share actually broke some quite important lines, and if we look at this over 5 years, that's a weekly chart over 5 years, folks. If I put up earnings per share, we can see the earnings per share rising strongly from 5 pence to 15 pence. And that's since 2018. That's good by anybody's reckoning. And it seems to have broken this little triangle that I've drawn, and it's pulled back a little bit today. So if we go back to a yearly chart, it broke this the other day, and I think, folks, it'll probably come back and kiss it. I think it's trading at about 187 as I speak. I would be surprised if it didn't come back to the 180 level. It's on a buy recommendation. The fundamentals are really good. The only thing that many people complain about is the spread, the difference between the buyers and the sellers. Nevertheless, this thing can actually move. We had a grand time in it last year, folks. It went from £1 to £2.20, and there was a heap of time to get out there. So that's another thing that you could in fact have a look at. So some shares, folks, that you could consider in this, I believe, very mature market on both sides of the pond. Everybody's sitting and waiting to see if there's more stimulus coming out of the US, and in an election year I would assume that there is going to be. So in the UK, the DEW has turned back up again, so all measures of market timing are good. In the US, a similar situation. And to go back to the US market just before I sign off, folks, we can see that the S&P is flat. There's been some really tight trading ranges during the course of this week. For example, I think it was the day before yesterday, the difference between the highs and the lows was 14 ticks. Very difficult environment. So steady as she goes in the US, and some opportunity, I think, for you to consider in the UK. I look forward to seeing you all on Monday afternoon at our weekly Q&A. Those of you that are not VectivS members, if you would like a free invite to our Monday afternoon session, then email me, Trader Davey, DAVTRADER DAVY @gmail.com. I'll put it on the YouTube page. So have a great weekend, folks. Bye bye.